What's going on, Godzirra Nation? This is Arghgodzirra. We are back with another round of AFL tipping for the 2021 season, in particular round 4. However, before we get started, 2 weeks to go until I cut off being able to enter the competition and still be eligible for prizes. I said at the start of the year, round 5 will be the round that I do the cutoff. So if you want to join my tipping league for the 2021 season, in the description down below, you will find the following URL. Click on it, it'll take you straight to the league, it'll enter you into the league. It's as simple as that. Then all you've got to do is enter your tips. Speaking of tips, last week, there was only one person that tipped 8 out of 9. And I'm probably going to assume that they backed Sydney to beat Richmond and West Coast to beat Port Adelaide. Because I don't think anybody would have predicted the Essendon over St Kilda, but maybe he did because he's an Essendon supporter. But 8 out of 9 goes to Ekins this week. The only player in the competition, as far as I'm aware, that tipped 8 out of 8. There were a couple of 7s, a few 6s, but 8 out of 8, Ekins only. So Ekins, congratulations for taking out the most tips this week.
You suck!
And now that we've looked at the most tips, Damon 140108 is still leading the competition by 1 point. Chip 16, Vince Victory 123, and Taj River Taylor 123, all hot on the heels on 20. Then we've got a few on 19, a few on 18, 17s, a lot of 17s. I've worked my way up to good old number
21.
But that was the week that was. Time to get the tips for the week that will be. Kicking off on Thursday night. SCG. Sydney taking on Essendon. Two teams that came out in round 3 and absolutely shocked the world. Sydney undefeated. Essendon, huge win over St Kilda. I'm going to back in Sydney. They look the goods. They're going to be 4-0 according to my tip this week. I'm going to take them by 36 points. 6 goals. Because I think they're that good. They're genuinely a team to watch this year. Cam Mooney has already gone the early crows saying Sydney Swans will play in the grand final this year. It's still early days. I'm not going to make that call. But if you're a Sydney fan, I'm sure you'd be up and about with how the season has started for you guys. Friday night is at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide taking on Richmond. Two teams that got pantsed on the weekend. Richmond obviously absolutely dismantled by Sydney. Port Adelaide put to the sword by West Coast. The smart play here would be to lock in Port Adelaide because it's in Adelaide. And after seeing what Sydney did to Richmond, you'd think Port Adelaide have the capabilities of doing it as well. I've got to stick thin with my boys here. We've proven we can beat Port Adelaide in Adelaide. We did it last year in the finals. I think we can do it again. We could be without certain players this week due to injuries last week with Camden McIntosh getting concussed and Dion Prestia going down with a hamstring. Trent Cotchin is still touch and go. But please, footy gods, if there is one of you up there, please let Richmond bounce back with a win this weekend. Saturday afternoon kicks off at Mars Stadium. Western Bulldogs taking on Brisbane. Although it was good to see Brisbane pick up a win by 1 point, the closest game of the round, last week that is. Bulldogs, 120 plus points. That was just an absolute masterclass. It was demoralising for North, but it showed the AFL world what the Bulldogs are truly capable of. And the scary thing is, this is a team that struggles to get the score on the scoreboard. I was saying leading into round 3 that the 2 rounds they'd already won previous, they should have put a bigger score on the board. And boy, did they come out and do that this week with Joshy Bruce leading the way with 10. Bulldogs are going to get it done quite comfortably for me at Mars Stadium, which I think is in Ballarat. Neutral territory, although the Bulldogs do play a couple of home games there each year. But I'm going to go the Bulldogs. Marvel Stadium, St Kilda versus West Coast. It is as simple as this. West Coast in West Coast last week found their form again. They looked great. It was a shame to see Luke Shuey go down with a hamstring after just returning from injury. St Kilda were abysmal. If the Saints play the same brand of football this week that they did against Essendon last week, West Coast are going to beat them by 10 goals. And it's not going to be pretty for St Kilda fans. There's going to be a nice percentage booster for West Coast. That's all I'm saying. If you were going to put your house on any game this weekend, I'd be putting it on West Coast to absolutely pants St Kilda. Saturday night, Metricon Stadium, the Gold Coast taking on Carlton. In the Gold Coast, I normally would have gone the Gold Coast. This week, I'm getting on board the Blue Baggers again. I tipped them last week. They had a very good win. So all the Blue Baggers supporters that are watching this video, I know there are a few of you that subscribe to the channel. You guys got to win. I'm so happy for you guys getting the win early. You're going to go back to back, because I'm predicting you're going to win this week. The key factor in this game is no Jared Witts in the ruck. I feel that injury alone is going to be too big a gap to fill. Carlton can pounce and make big gain on that opportunity, really. One player goes out, another player is going to have to step up. Carlton can run all over that role now. And I think Carlton are going to do it quite comfortably. I'm going to say 5 or 6 goals. I'd like to see a close game, but I think Carlton could potentially pick up another sizable win. Saturday rounds out at the MCG with Collingwood taking on GWS. It is hard to back against Collingwood here, not because it's at the MCG, but because of all the injuries that GWS have been hammered with. Coming into this round, just off of round 3 alone, Stephen Coniglio, syndesmosis injury, at least 8 weeks. Hopper is out for at least 2 to 4 weeks with, I think it's a hamstring, maybe. Phil Davis is out with an ankle injury that's going to see him sidelined for, I think it was 4 to 5 weeks. And there was another player, for the life of me, I can't think of it right now. But there was 4 players all up out of that game last week that are not going to be available for a very long time. Collingwood are starting to find a little bit of form, even though they lost by 1 point to Brisbane, which is always unlucky to lose after the siren. They're in much better form than GWS are. And if you had told me at the start of this year that we were going to see both Melbourne and Sydney undefeated after 3 rounds and GWS down the bottom of the ladder without a win, I would have told you you're crazy. But that's the circumstances we're currently looking at. Sunday is at Marvel Stadium. I don't know how 9% of people have even backed North Melbourne. Adelaide Crows here are going to get another win. This has already blown one of our predictions out of the window for 2021. All 4 of us on that video said that it was going to be Adelaide, I believe, that won the wooden spoon. I think. I'll have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure all 4 of us said Adelaide. It's pretty much North Melbourne's spoon to lose right now, really, unfortunately. The big call I'm making this week is if Josh Bruce can kick 10 against North Melbourne, Tex Walker can kick 10 against North Melbourne. Because Tex is in fine form, the best form arguably I've ever seen him in, and that is better form than 2017 when they went to the grand final. And he marks the ball a hell of a lot better than Josh Bruce does. He kicks it a lot better than Josh Bruce does. He's going to have an absolute field day against North Melbourne on Sunday afternoon. MCG sees a pretty decent clash, actually, given the circumstances. Melbourne taking on Geelong. This is where Melbourne truly get tested. I know there's a lot of Melbourne supporters up and about, but I pose this to you. Fremantle, GWS, and St Kilda are the 3 teams that Melbourne have beaten so far. All of which have been without their primary ruckman. They've all had rookie ruckmen, so Max Gordon's had a field day in the ruck. There has been a number of injuries to the teams that they have played, so I believe when they played Fremantle, apart from Rory Lobb, like Michael Walters and some other players were missing. GWS already had a big gaping list of players missing. When they played St Kilda, obviously they had no Rowan Marshall, no Paddy Ryder, they had no Brad Crouch in at the time. So this is the first time Melbourne are going to get tested by a contender. It's all well and good sitting 3-0 after defeating 3 teams that are not expected to play finals, with GWS kind of being on the cusp. Geelong are going to win this one here, and it's going to show that Melbourne have had an easier start than what people realise. If Melbourne win this game, I will retract that statement. But I feel they have come up against teams that have been a little bit short of the mark, and that's how they've been able to get over the line. Geelong, fantastic game against Hawthorn, despite umpiring kind of talk around social media saying that Geelong are being favoured in Paddy Dangerfield's absence, but I think they'll quite comfortably beat Melbourne. And to round it out, at Optus Stadium, we have Fremantle taking on Hawthorn. And this is interesting because Fremantle are in here on Sportsbet odds at $1.54 and Hawthorn are at $2.50. And I'm almost tempted to say Hawthorn could prove an upset here at Optus. Maybe. Nat 5 surely comes back in this week as well. So I think on the back of that, I'm going to go Fremantle at home. If Nat 5 plays, I will leave it as Fremantle. If Nat 5 is out of the team, I will change it to Hawthorn. But that is what I'm going to go with currently. I think Nat 5 is a big barometer for Fremantle. He can win the game off of his own boot. That's how good he is. If he's fit and firing, it'll be a good contest. If he's not, the likes of Tom Mitchell and Jaeger O'Meara and Tom Phillips and Warple, they're all going to get off the chain. But, quick recap. I have gone this week with Sydney, Richmond, the Bulldogs, West Coast Eagles, just let me get that, Carlton, Collingwood, Adelaide, Geelong, and Fremantle. Hopefully, your team gets up this weekend. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, my boys can get over the line. It'd be great to see us bounce back. My certainty of the round, as I said, is West Coast over St Kilda. Upset of the round would have to be North Melbourne defeating Adelaide. Even though, like, some people would argue they're evenly matched, Adelaide this year is just above and beyond what we all expected. And given how North Melbourne has been playing, if they were to knock off Adelaide, I think everybody would be shocked. Another shocker would probably be Essendon upsetting Sydney, given how well Sydney have gone. But that's it for this video. Thank you for joining me again. If you could do myself a favour and leave a like on the video, it goes a long way to supporting the channel. I really can't thank you guys enough for that support. If you are new, feel free to subscribe. If you do want to join the tipping competition, you have to make sure you are subscribed to be eligible for prizes at the end of the year. So just hit that red subscribe button down below. If you want to follow me on social media, those are linked in the description down below as well. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.
Continue.